哎呦，鸡蛋糕！喂，我的fuck！我扁喂！好了，观众朋友们，大家好，我是阿恩。看到这个画面，大家都知道我们要来试玩这个乔尔高尔夫 Part 2重置，好吧？乔尔高尔夫 Part 2 ，OK 啦，这个游戏出了重置啊，所以我就特地下载来，特地买来玩啊。这个马币40块升级啊，不过应该很多人没有像我这样笨一样啊，像我这样笨啊，下载重玩这款游戏，还不是因为明年要出那个DELL Optiplex的那个第二集，它影集的第二集。所以我就很想来玩了，刚好又出 PS5 版，所以我们就直接开始啊。这个如果你有 PS4 版的话，光碟不管是光碟还是数码的，都免费，不是免费的，是要40块升级啊。不过今天我们不是要玩它故事模式啊，玩它故事模式我看了都想顺那个芭比油，讲真的。所以我们今天就要来玩它的那个另外一个模式啊。那个是在 PS4 版是也是没有的。其实我已经稍微玩了一点剧情啊，还没有玩到那个乔尔死掉那边。如果玩到乔尔死掉那边，我应该会打包一包巴骨碟来吃的。妈的，看到那个芭比杀乔，我就想吃巴骨碟了，什么鬼咯？OK 了，所以我们今天按这个就剧情嘛，所以我们就其他什么我们可以点下去看的。哦，这个是它的，它的模型，可以看的。这个好像是今年才有是吧？这个是就这个谁的？因为我还没有玩完这款游戏啊，所以就不用看这些了。吉他，哇，可以弹吉他，来看一下。其实这个40块升级还是有用的啦，这可以看吉他，除了弹吉他以外。听说可以改人物是吧？空美场景可以改掉，你会感觉现在看给大这样。对了，我先看一下，可以切换一下吗？不可以啊，按错看。哦，可以换诶，可以换着。这个不是那个他那个试玩的那个什么没？这个是什么？不知道。可以换乔尔诶，来换乔尔看一下。最佳过年弹手过年歌先。这个是乔尔，这是，这个不是法兰克呗？这个乔尔还是法兰克哦？没有，其实应该是那个游戏一个人物啊。那个如果你有看他那个什么13的电玩城的那个就知道了。2019年的时候，2018年还是2019年，你忘记了？可以换场景来看一下。还有各种 guitar， 这个我就不玩了。这个会玩音乐就肯定就可以来玩看看了。然后这些内容开发人员我就不看了啦。我们就来玩这个看看一下，这是什么？角色不，直接进去啦。我今天就是来试玩这个啦。挑战新卡。我们先看下教学模式到底是怎样先。OK， 挑战新关卡，先新关卡看一下，一般关卡普通，来开始，完成可以选角色，可以选迪娜、杰西、汤米，然后乔尔，还有芭比啊，妈的，这看到都堵烂的，讲真的。还有这个道夫，还有这个 OK。还可以给我选芭比啊，鸡巴耶！这个干你奶，我才不要选他。我们现在开始啊。他到底讲完了这个？所以大家有看到预告啊？其实我有看到预告啊，不过有点忘记了，讲真的。来什么？哎呀，这个我懂了，但我没有玩过啊。这个 Office。 没错。哇，这里可以选武器那些哦。然后这什么？改装武器，一开始就一把手枪而已。然后可以改这些。现在高松呢还没开始吗？现在。 所以我们要先进关卡先。听说这个一死哈，你就整个重来，有是吧？是从这边重来开始还是讲哦？然后到后面应该会有个大 boss， 应该会有那个什么 super pimple 还是那个大智佬。所以这个也可以玩的，先玩这个看看先。刚开始是这样哦。这有时候不一定，有时候可能是僵尸，有时候可能是人。然后先玩一两关来看看一下啦。解决所有敌人，好。OK， 现在先赶快拿那个什么先。现在还有10秒就要来了。哎，这个无命不要拿先。哎，医疗包。先到，来，好，我重来看出来哦。什么？有了，只有3个人呐。我很久没有玩了，只有上次有玩了，可是都是杀僵尸，人很久没有玩了。了解，有得到什么Part 1的经验，应该可以。去年我还玩得到什么Part 1电脑版的。 哦，看了，看按错，哦，去，来，这的球，这么好的这个棒，这么好只是2个，一个顺2下连就死了嘛。砖块，我给按错，忘记想丢。哦，对。 我还会啊，也会。我的 fuck， 那边有了，没有看到刚才。来灵柩。
Was that her? I'll check it out.
叫你靈招吧，一過年了嘛。來，靈招靈狗，來，好了，昂包啊！ OK， 还有一个，所以有3波的，所以刚开始我觉得会很简单。还有一个在哪里？我就发现到人了，发现到人了。还可以玩火瓶啊！嘿，来，有转过来，还得发现到人了，我知道。来，我就是要给你发现，来。 我看我这里会被烧啊！哦，我先拿一下他的那个，我这里会被烧啊！完了，这还有也是2格的，加几个，这个这几个，也是3个一样。very easy 的，喂，干！ 一开始够亮，被发现了。哎，我先跑，拜拜。还有枪吗？还没有枪，我觉得还好。我有这么地震！靠，妈的，3个都在这边，跑屁也跑！我第1个火瓶可以地震的，鸡蛋糕。拿东西来，兄弟！ 一记有你，快拿东西！他那个东西不可以拿的，鸡蛋糕。转快！来，开始来了。 这回讲敌人到底从哪刷出来？我知道，也是一样3个。我一开始就要看到我鸡蛋糕。这边东西又刷了。靠，我们到底在哪里？我都看不到。看了。先把顺引过去一边。
Huh? Listen, that her? Come with me. Let's check.
I got you covered.
靠，这边有。我可以做那个镜眼吗？
Find the car.
哦吼
Emma, push forward.
先把油枪干掉先。杀掉香港脚啊！我干！我谢谢我手，干你妈的死哦！给搞啊我！我这意思重来什么意思好啦？第一，哈。 第二关卡还没有解锁嘞 ，Mr。自由卡，来，什么鬼？所以我们现在解锁这个自由关卡，可以自己选的是吧？我来看一下。 还没有过到一关就什么敌人，然后什么选哦，可以这样子选的是吧？哦，虽然是一口气挑战的啦，这样子。制作记录来看一下，失去关卡，我打算想看一下这个，还有解说，解说啊。 解说这 YouTube 早就有了咯，失去关卡就是应该就是对删除，我想看一下，就是本来在游戏里面结果被删除了。
You're about to play an unfinished level from The Last of Us Part 2.
刚开始还是个video写的。
Added this section is there are a few sequences, and we picked the 3 of the best ones that we cut from the game. You know, often we build a game that's much bigger than what ends up being the final product. They were months away from being finished, but we wanted to give you an insight of what it's like when we built a game, because often we have this whole thing constructed and it doesn't have final art or audio or dialogue. And here you get to see the building blocks of what it's like when we first string a bunch of these levels together. This is the intro to the first deleted level, and this one is the roughest of the 3. We wanted to show more of how Jackson operates. So this is the festival where Ellie ultimately kisses Dina. This sequence would have come very late in the game as a flashback sequence while you're in the farm with Dina. And we wanted to show what is the rest of Jackson doing, and wanted to put on the stick, make it interactive. So you could see when you're outside, there are all these almost like carnival games that you can play. You could mix drinks, you could play with these kids that are playing a sort of clicker Marco Polo, sit down and listen to conversations. And all the different interactions were first or second pass, very, very early passes. The building blocks are there, but nothing is final. And ultimately, while we were very excited by the sequence, it's pretty fun and lighthearted. It just slowed things too much as we're barreling towards the end of the story at this point. So again, reminder, rough, missing audio, missing animation, missing gameplay tweaks, missing dialogue, but pretty representative of what it would have been. So enjoy.
So okay, 来玩咯。虽然是没有做好那个时候，所以怪怪也正常啊。对，怕水都没有声音啊。啊，好的，好吧，连那个配音都没有诶，这个时候。
Originally,
This level was going to transition us to farm. We would go all the way through to the dance, where Ellie and Dina share their first kiss. Then we would play through farm, and when Ellie plays the guitar at night, she would remember the Seth incident. So, the opening for this was a little tricky. We needed it to match at least a little what you might expect emotionally coming from prior beats, because we were already purposefully disorienting you in time and space. Remember, you just came from this huge fight. To jump straight into it would have been a little too jarring. After some back and forth, we rooted it in Ellie's nerves, calling back to her hands shaking in the theater. But this time, for a much more innocuous reason we'll find out later. She's nervous because she has a crush on Dina, who is the only reason why she's here at the dance. Something we really wanted to do was highlight the way their lives had turned upside down since she went down this path. We had this idea of recontextualizing all of our usual gameplay mechanics that were designed for really violent ends. The workbench, door bashes, throwable weapons, and even the infected, which is my personal favorite. Peppered throughout the level are moments of levity or shared history, all the while seeing how happy and mundane they were before her huge revenge.
这个物质都怪怪的，没做好。给接进去啊！我们先看一下这个，哎，这可以玩上这个。
It is not a festival without one of these throwing games. This one, of course, uses our throwable system where you're often chucking explosive things or stunning things, but for a more wholesome purpose, although some people take this game really seriously. A fun aspect of this is if you did well, you could win a toy here. Ellie would place it in her pocket. If you had done this, you'd find the toy with JJ, the baby, later back at the farm. When we cut this, the toy made it through anyway because it was so cute. It is the same one you see on the tractor at the farm. Ollie the elephant.
这个可以玩啊，这个。啊，这个从手里面拿出来啊，这让我想到那个 Spider-Man。哎呀，别！来，这应该可以。也算是倒啊，这个。哦啊，这边还有写，哈，随便啦。然后这个什么，这是玩那个奖。
This is one of my favorite sections because I think that it achieves both the slice of life aspect of Jackson while also being a stark reminder of how dark the world that they live in really is. To attract attention and curiosity, one of the kids was supposed to make this adorable, messed up little clicker impression, and the others would giggle. We tried a version where if you got close enough, the kid might try and follow you a little before turning back. Since clickers are blind and move by echolocation, for this game of messed up tag, Ellie must close her eyes and listen for when the children give themselves away. The thought was that these kids are in relative safety. They still grow up with the dangers of clickers and runners, and all those lessons would embed themselves in the games that they play. When the festival got cut, they tried to preserve this moment and move it to the front of the game where the snowball fight is, as a tutorial. However, being in the headspace of a clicker doesn't really teach you how to deal with them. Eventually, it evolved, and they instead made the snowball fight, which was, I think, way more effective. For me, it's character illuminating that not only does Ellie know this game, she plays along. There's a familiarity with the kids that's really nice to see, especially because it's such a difference from the Ellie we see later, who has a sort of hollow normalcy that she's trying to get with JJ, but kind of fails.
来，赶忙玩一下，来。来，轮到我扮僵尸哦。终于人会顺利了，被抓了。来，连飞僵尸声音。 还放僵尸声音，放真的僵尸声音，这里。我还没抓了就被抓了，可以再玩多一次，很老玩这样很好玩了，可以再玩。给我玩。我没有抓，我没有玩到就，这可以玩了这个，来，这应该跟 Spiderman 一样，我觉得。 嘣！哎呀，我有一个甩不掉，拿遥控器再丢一下去，这样。 啊，那时候还是 PS4 版哦。对啊，他还忘记，疯了。这边还有一个，我再看一下，这还有什么东西可以互动的。这里可以坐住。 可以讲话，就是这样而已。可能这一把有讲话，这个变成奇妙人生了，这样子。奇妙人生之僵尸末日版，僵尸末日。哎，可以再玩嘛这个？哎，这还有一个东西可以按。那谁？这我这个人会变出来。 他画梦境，刺金。他到底画什么东西？他没有做出我的鸡蛋糕，画。 只是画了几个水在那边而已，就这样。哦，这里还有一个那个，然后这里是什么？喝酒啊，太闲了。啊，这个，连那个酒都没有喝出来，那你喝空气啊你？这里又有讲话。
We use our workbench a lot to make a lot of things that kill and maim and hurt people. Here, we had the silly idea of using the same feel, harkening back to the same animations, using the exact same UI to instead fix a drink. Like the workbench, you could pick your base, and then you could add something to it. And at the time, we had some different reactions from Ellie based on how strong you chose to make the drink. Something we wanted to prototype, though, before it got cut, was picking up some ingredients around to add, like a lime or maybe a bottle of someone's favorite whiskey or salt, like you were earning upgrades. We also toyed with having Ellie carry around the drink you made and occasionally sip it, psyching herself up to go talk to Dina inside because she's nervous. It got too noodly though, because she would need to keep placing it somewhere before she did anything, so it would have ended up more trouble than it was worth. The makeup artist is pretty simple. It's one of those little in-game scenes we peppered in to make it feel like Ellie had roots in the town. Hallie, our writer, mentioned that in her mind, an ex-girlfriend of Ellie's tattooed her arm to cover up her scar. So we figured this might be the only time you get to see that. We wanted to hint at it and allude to it and make it feel like there had been so much more that had been happening and so much more that Ellie threw away. There's a hidden spot at the back that was just a bit of fun. It was highlighting Jackson's normalcy with something we would find in a real world. In the back, you would find teenagers finding some alone time with each other in a dark corner of a party. It was rewarding the player for peeking into a hidden corner, but ultimately redirecting them back to the festival. We also had versions of them smoking weed here, despite Maria's consternation, probably having gotten it from Eugene.
所以这个定线应该就是，哎，这个是汤米的大老婆。哎，他们全部心电感应的，读心术啊来讲话，啊，这就完了，对对对，然后就到那个动画了，啊，跟那个蒂娜小金，我来看一下下水道，下水道是哪里哟？哎哦哎是 LD， 我以为有8B 的关卡耶，我们来看一下，下水道。
In this second deleted level, which is an extended sequence of the sewers in Seattle, this comes on the heels of the building, and she survives an attack by and gets thrown out of the window and gets swept away by the current, and then we cut this section that used to be there in the final game. Now you will get to play it. So this was a way to get a bit more interesting puzzles, interesting traversal, figure out how Ellie can navigate the sewers with the fighting current. Ultimately, with a lot of these levels and these sequences, the reason why we cut them were for pacing purposes. But here it is for you in this very kind of raw form that part of it will feel finished, parts of it will feel like assets are missing as far as audio, animation won't be final. But it's a glimpse into what a game looks like when it's months away from finishing. Enjoy.
所以我们等下重玩多一次啊！再赶下去，对对对。我还没有玩到这边了，这个重置的地方。我靠！呀，那个水这样急，我老伟。OK。哈哈，你这样讲真的是会得罪西雅图人的。啊，不要得罪啊！这个游戏的得罪几百个人了，得罪我了。
This level, internally known as Fine North, was quite long in duration as we had to make Ellie traverse a far distance to the opposite side of downtown Seattle. The sewer section was originally longer than the release of the game, approximately 10 minutes more. This was one of the few areas of the game that used water flow as part of a traversal puzzle. The player has to go upstream to use the current to get to the platform to reach the other side. We mostly cut this mechanic game-wide, however, it remained in essence in the section swimming to the aquarium as Ellie, when you were avoiding the waves. The ladder acts as an immediate goal for the player, but being able to climb out is not going to be so easy. To keep levels interesting and engaging, we alternate between positive and negative values the player experiences. It's positive to have found a ladder, but then a negative to discover the solution. But then another positive to identify the next short-term goal of the doorway. By alternating between these opposing values, we give players what they expect, but not how they expect it.
Fucking kidding me.
他本来进来下门好像不是这样的，是有点忘记了。之前的时候，对啊，直接不是这样的，对，我想到了。 啊！被冲走过，不知道冲到哪里去，我就有点忘记了。
Almost had it.
哦哟！啊，这边对，然后这边。
When players reach the doorway and enter into the room, they're faced with a dead end.
What's he got here?
The real reason for this dead-end room is that on the reversal, when exiting back out of the doorway, players are faced with the route onwards. A pipe that they'd not been able to see when they were swept past it on the way in, and something that was hidden from view when on the side platforms. The intention here being that the only option is to go off the standard path in order to search for a way out.
Oh yo! 这梦起来怎么？哦，挨掉好。
Get me the hell out of here.
这里就有配音到这边。
Throughout the rest of the level, we also use light to indicate to the player that they were heading in the right direction. At each turn, however, we block the direct route forward. Players would know that they just have to keep finding alternative paths, promoting those feelings of being desperate and trapped. We slowly introduce the player to consider climbing into smaller pipes and crouching in these tight spaces. This is to slowly build up to and encourage the player to climb into such a small pipe that they'd have to be crawling on their stomach, which is something that the player previously may not have recognised as a playable space, let alone the desired route they need to take. We added a tiny space just to reward the player's exploration with a pickup item, and we made sure it was something that made sense that you'd find in this area. A canister and all the garbage that we washed into the sewers from the surface.
这前一步要重新升级。哎，我看一下这第一下，我看一下这第一下。好，这有，时间画了一条路。喂喂，我的 fuck！ 啊，这个算了啦，没有关系啊，反正这个现在也是现在也是这个没有做好的吧，所以肯定，所以它会破土也是正常的。
As it was a great opportunity to use our Pro mechanic, a unique camera setup was created to support crawling in these pipes, as the standard Pro camera is much higher above the player. We also created custom collision in order for Ellie to maneuver in these tight spaces easily. Initially, the oblong collision capsule around the character caused issues crawling around corners. We put extra effort into the custom corner collision, so the movement experience is as smooth as the main game.
Fuck. Okay. Don't lose your shit, Ellie.
Oh, 我以为这又到外面了。
In order for the player to feel cramped, claustrophobic and desperate, we'd been enforcing the traversal mechanics that allow for a tight environment to promote these feelings. We introduced the use of the squeeze films that can keep the player feeling enclosed and tight, but without repeating the same geometry. Here we change from low ceilings with wider walls to high ceilings and tight walls to change up the spatial pacing and keep the level from repeating itself.
这边好像可以过这样的这边，哎呦喂，可以过啊！啊，不要给我过！哦 no！ 哈哈哈哈！这边有个绳子是吧？
Originally, we had the waterline much higher here, so players had to swim through this tight tunnel. However, from watching user test feedback, it was occasionally causing people to discount the route entirely and turn back on themselves. So to avoid any risk of this happening in the final game, we present a lower water level so the tunnel is easy to see and commit to using. Although this isn't as impactful without the prone swim, it's the better decision as it means a smoother experience for the player with no backtracking frustration. As we surface from the water and over the crest of the slope, we reveal what's further in this tunnel. A clicker that's sprouted and fungus has grown on the sides of the pipe. It's great to see people who use and tested this area becoming increasingly worried as we force the player to squeeze past the fungus and inches away from the clicker's face, all the time not being sure whether the clicker might be alive or attack them. Although we aren't as cruel as to force a clicker attack in such close proximity, we do have a payoff for this moment. This clicker momentarily turned into Joel to show Ellie's PTSD from what happened to Joel at the start of the game. Ultimately, we decided to save this moment for the farm level, as it was more impactful there because it could become the centerpiece of that experience. Whereas in the sewers, we weren't able to make it as much of a narrative point and give it the breathing room and reaction time that it deserves, given the tight space. We draw the player towards this pipe, as it's seemingly the route out of the tight space. Fairly soon, it is obvious that this path is blocked. If the player goes all the way up to the bars that block the path, they are rewarded with a pickup, so this journey doesn't feel wasted. It was important to encourage the player to try to progress along this path so that they would subtly be thinking of progress in this direction. We hint to the player that there is a bigger new space beyond this pipe by showing the player the waterfall. This helps players consider the other route, but they don't know how far the tunnel is or whether they'd make it.
Oh, 老伟，这里。哎呦，鸡蛋糕！喂，我的妈！我扁喂！ 我靠！吓死人了，这个！哦！哎呦，又掉在地掉下来，这里应该就是。 好，连滑下去的事情都没有做好，都没有做来，回杯哦。
For the final section, we eventually opened you out into a wider area as you traverse through such tight spaces leading up to this. So changing the environmental pacing makes it begin to feel like we're coming to the end of Ellie's ordeal. An earlier iteration used the current that we'd shown at the start for a slightly tougher traversal puzzle to conclude the sewers. The ladder was clearly visible from most of the area, but the player was faced with a fast-flowing torrent of water they couldn't cross. If the player attempted to jump into the water, they were not able to swim across the ladder due to the water's speed. But instead, they had to traverse the pipe running along the top of the space in order to get across the water.
我老伟那个乔我直接变那个，直接变那个那个 Mr. Bimber 直接变那个乔尔。哇！我看我晚上会做噩梦，我看到这个，还是有这条路。 啊，刚才有讲啊，我知道，可是看还是有点恐怖的，真的。我要讲上期。还是有其他路，我先看一下，还是有办法可以上去的。这里刚过这里，这里。以上所。 所以我们应该是要从那边过去。忘记可以潜水哦。啊，对啊，你看。
This is the first time we get to see stalkers that are embedded into the walls. So this optional room is still early extra that the player gets if they explore. We also use the pickups to lure players over to be close enough to trigger the stalker's attack. This caused quite a few jump scares in user testers who played our game before its release.
会死了吗？这个？我靠北了！完了，刚才没有好那个，就给我鸡蛋糕会死了那个。好，还有，我要从头开始。 鸡蛋糕都从我还走顺着的。来，几百件搞出来。来。哈哈哈哈哈！爽吗？啊 ，Puki 吗？啊，爽吗？啊，干你那部诶！
This is the first time we get to see stalkers that are embedded into the walls. So this optional room is a nice little early extra that the player gets if they explore. We also use the pickups to lure players over to be close enough to trigger the stalker's attack. This caused quite a few jump scares with user testers who played our game before its release.
他的猪腿这么说，他的鸡腿为什么会掉在这边呢？哦，上面有路，看到。上面有路可以上。What the fuck？ 为什么鱼为什么会在路在空中呢
？Using this pipe was retained in the iteration we shipped with, as it's the last of the extreme methods Ellie has to undergo in order to escape the sewers, and what she will go through in her pursuit of revenge. The last ladder climb is quite lengthy. And although we could have trimmed it down to a shorter climb, we liked how this last segment of the journey built anticipation for whether there was success at the top or not after all you've been through. Ultimately, the ladder exits out into the subway station, which is how it connects in the final game. Ellie then has to find her way to the hospital from here, crossing paths with the scars for the first time.
Oh, 所以现在这里是自制上来啊，本来不是这样的。哎，我好像少看到一个嘞，现在这样子玩了上。啊，算了啦，我找不到另外一个，所以我就算了啦。我们来看一下这个，这个是最后一个啊。本来想看一两个，结果那它只有3个，算了，给它看完了。
For this third and final deleted level, what we call the boar hunt sequence.
妈的，全部都是 LD 被删除，不要，为什么不要整个芭比被删除到完
It was right after the whole Seattle Abby sequence where Abby spares Ellie. And then we wanted to come back into Ellie's story, but keep it a bit mysterious of how much time has passed, where is Ellie now? So we're coming in on Ellie, and she's following a trail of blood. And we wanted to mirror, in a way, the deer hunt sequence from the first game, but this time do it with a boar. And there's something with Ellie that now she can't let go of this violence. She's pursuing it, even against this innocent animal. Oh. This was another opportunity to show how the violence that Ellie has experienced, the violence that she witnessed being afflicted onto Joel, is still sticking with her, and she's still experiencing these PTSD moments. This was a sequence that was pretty far along and was cut pretty late in production. Parts of it are still really rough, but the gameplay, the building blocks were all there. I think you'll have fun to see, like, again, a rough, unfinished sequence that you can play. You can see all the way to the end, and including a cinematic that we end up cutting. And the remnants of the sequence ended up being mentioned in Ellie's journal. So this part of the story that we developed still made its way into the game as kind of optional stuff that you could read about, but here you get to experience it. So as a reminder, this is pretty rough, months away from being finished, but you get to see it now.
哦，所以这里就是到汤米看到啊回家看到汤米之前的时候，汤米在找他讲芭比在哪里。
So the boar hunt was one of the hardest levels for me to work on. It was a huge challenge with the systems that we had, and we kept trying, but it never felt quite right. Originally, the level happened after the Jackson Festival, which also got cut, but before Farm. Once the festival got cut, it became the prologue to Farm. The intended experience is that we jump forward in time after the fight with Abby in the theater. We don't know where Dina is. We likely assume she's dead because she was just bleeding out. Ellie is alone, her hair is short, so maybe this is the future or the In early iterations of the fight, it was more arena-like. The player slowly whittles down the boar's health. Ellie gets more visceral and more vicious. We get a little worried about her. As the boar gets weaker, more panicked, more feral, and we start feeling sympathetic to the boar, was the hope. In all of these iterations, especially of these wider areas, it required custom AI and scripting to make sure it continued to feel organic as an animal. So the boar hunt was one of the hardest levels for me to work on. It was a huge challenge with the systems that we had, and we kept trying, but it never felt quite right. Originally, the level happened after the Jackson Festival, which also got cut, but before Farm. Once the festival got cut, it became the prologue to Farm. The intended experience is that we jump forward in time after the fight with Abby in the theater. We don't know where Dina is. We likely assume she's dead because she was just bleeding out. Ellie is alone. Her hair is short. So maybe this is the future or the present. And she's hunting. Hunting who? Abby still? In early iterations of the fight, it was more arena-like. The player slowly whittles down the boar's health. Ellie gets more visceral and more vicious. We get a little worried about her. As the boar gets weaker, more panicked, more feral, and we start feeling sympathetic to the boar, was the hope. In all of these iterations, especially of these wider areas, it required custom AI and scripting to make sure it continued to feel organic as an animal, but we really needed it to do specific stuff. It needed to be able to close distances really, really quickly. It needed to charge to attack, but we wanted the feeling of hunting, so we needed to track it down from afar. And we also needed to discourage the player from attacking the boar when it's that close, or it would kind of turn into this melee kerfuffle. How do we do this in our world while keeping the boar believable? We must have gone through 5 or 6 iterations of the boar fight and all, and every single time it changed pretty drastically. We split it into clear phases, where one was like all long range. We tried another where you're getting close and you get the jump on it quite literally. You're jumping off of a rock to attack it. And then finally, we tried a bunch where you almost sort of go around a bunch of trailers and try and wrestle it. We uncovered after some time that taking down a boar over several phases felt very laborious and a little dramatic. It was comically long. It felt too boss-like, a little too gamey. We decided to cut the first few phases, and we opted for a cold open after the boar had already been hurt off screen. So that allowed us to focus on feeling like we're closing in on prey and to introduce the boar when it was at its most dangerous. Already hurt, already feral, much too close for comfort. And so the thinking was it would bring us more into Ellie's mindset. Is this really hunting for food, or is she hunting for some other reason? The gas station was built to highlight the boar's destructiveness. Since it's cramped, the boar feels larger. We also feel trapped with it, though perhaps it's trapped with us. When it charges, it gets to us quickly, so we must be on our toes. This made it more in line with Ellie's sort of hunting for trouble mindset. Listening became more important, as well as moving around slowly so it didn't hear you. Could you spot it before it saw or heard you? And could you get a shot off quickly enough so you could dodge out of the way? Or is the shot it feels like a gamble. By the end of the fight, everything would likely be in shambles. The boar would burst through the back, and Ellie would follow it and finally enact revenge.
哇，这个游戏还特地剪掉啊！原来还知道我们现在打艾比啊！这个是最终 boss， 这个最终 boss。我那个听到声音啊！他看，他走出来了。哎，芭比！哇，这跑进去哦。
Nowhere to run.
The boar kill was supposed to be anything but glorious.
With
the boar whimpering at the back of the gas station after Ellie's relentless.
还没讲完话的哈。还没讲完话就给他进动画鸡蛋糕。哦，他在回忆那个。哦，又来！哦，所以就这样而已啊。然后这个应该就跳回那个汤米来找他了，应该是那边了，我觉得。然后这个是什么纪念图？哦，这也是可以换的。幕后花絮我就不看了，这些太多了，讲真的。还有芭比的幕后花絮，这个要自己看啊，解说用声音啊，随便啦。OK， 所以我们今天就玩到这边了。所以这个The Last of Us， 我想继续我看上次我玩了吗？玩到哪里？我看一下。我觉得我不会重玩啦，不过我只不会重玩多一次啊。不过我还不是为了赢，我会自己私底下玩啊。哦，这边呐，这里面进去里面就遇到那个 Mr. 平伯，上面记错话。OK， 就这样子而已啦，按错拍谁？OK 啦，所以我们今天就玩到这边了。这个The Last of Us， 要不是因为有影集啊，我肯定不会买这款游戏啊。影集第2集他们讲这过年就会开拍，然后预计应该会在明年头也是差不多，明年的农历新年会出啊，所以 还蛮期待一下。不懂到时候乔尔死掉会怎样啊？我在想那些没有玩过游戏也直接看那个影集到底会怎样？我们只会啊 shit here we go again 这样子啦。OK 啊，我也是很期待的这个影集啊。到时候还有在 Part 3也是差不多来了，我猜今年应该会出预告，所以他们听说是在2020年才会出，到时候我应该也是会玩等到什么 Part 3啊，应该会的。希望主角是那个 LD， 如果是芭比我就不要玩了，我讲真的，肯定是 LD 的啦。哎呀，这个第一集到现在他是主角嘛，真正主角嘛，就很像那个 The Walking Dead 的鬼门胎一样。OK， 所以今天就玩到这边了，所以我们就下个影片见，拜拜。